following podcast contains mature language and adult discussion.
It's a nice open. Nice addition to the opening. So click this, the Kev and Nash podcast. I am Sean. And we as people are tasked with mountain climbing in our lives sometimes. And we rely on the things we learn growing up, the survival skills. We some of us better than others. We rely on maybe the advice of others, the help of others, and then there are a handful, a very small handful of occasions that are so unnatural to the human makeup that we're not as well equipped. And it is very much an improvisation, calling that audible every day. And my friend and co-host, or host of the titular host of this show is Kev and Nash. And Kevin got dealt that hand this week, the very unnatural in the humanity of things. And Kev, braver woman than I, said, don't you dare run a best of show because I have to talk to the world, is what he said. And Kev is here and going to talk to the world. And or
at least attempt.
Yeah. Well, do as best we can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on behalf of me and the crew and the listeners, I'm as much a listener as anybody else. I thank you for wanting to do that and maybe helping someone, right?
Well, I mean, I always was curious if there was some way to get me to stop saying fuck every other word.
YouTube thanks you for this episode, by the way, in advance.
And I think that I think this is it, but
not so sure about that. You're going to read a website later, but anyway.
Yeah.
A blog.
Right. Yeah. But, this Wednesday morning, my son passed. So
I heard from Kevin on Tuesday afternoon, and you told me that T had been rushed to the hospital, had what they thought was a seizure, and
ended up
that
being
was kind of the start of it.
Yeah, the seizure caused a cardiac arrest. He was basically dead in his room on the floor with EMT working on him, and they got him back and got him in the ambulance. And tried to save his life. And so to the people that at Halifax Hospital, doctors and nurses, I thank you.
T wasn't feeling well in the days prior.
No, well, we both had decided that we were going to stop drinking, and so it was a situation where we both went cold turkey. Well, I don't think either of us felt great because you stop drinking coffee for a day and you get a headache. So I think that we were both dealing with it. but also because we're so close to the cruise lines here, that norovirus shit is always prevalent. So I'm sorry, I've got like, acid coming up my fucking throat.
So, Kev, what precipitated the decision, before we get into the events of the last few days, what precipitated your decision and T's decision not to drink anymore? Was it something you talked about prior?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just, he had a couple of incidents, and we actually sat up here last Wednesday, and in the course of the show, he drank 4 or 5 beers, unbeknownst to me, and they had been in this refrigerator. They've been in there for maybe 3 or 4 hurricanes ago. They just there's like nothing in the refrigerator except some bottles of water that we bring up here, and there was this 6-pack of Asahi Japanese beer. And he drank them, and I got pissed at him. I said, that's just not. I said, because he had this situation, at the beginning of the year where he was hospitalized for almost 60 days, and this is my cross to bear. It's alcoholism. It took one of my dearest friends, a gentleman named Ben Ciance, May a year ago. It took Scott, and now it's taken my son.
Did you have alcoholism in your family, Kevin?
When your dad dies at 36, who fucking knows? He drank. He drank. I don't know. I don't know.
It wasn't referenced as a problem, though, by your mother subsequently or anything.
No, it was hard to get drunk when you smoked a carton of cigarettes a day.
No time for a bottle to hit the lips. There's always a cigarette.
Yeah, he's too busy, monkey fucking the cigarette off the next one, Yeah. So
they do say there's something in heredity. My father was an alcoholic. I though I'm not, but I do have addictive traits to my personality. I definitely can say that. So that's why I was wondering if maybe it's something you'd had in your family at all.
No, my wife has it on her side of the family. Yeah. So, I don't really think anybody in my family, if anybody was the like, I didn't drink. I drank when I played ball in college, like when I was in college, so it's like, I drank. I probably started drinking when I was 13. I don't know, something like that. I was smoking little pinners and shit back then, and so
right. So, so you guys make the decision on Wednesday after the show.
After the show, so a week later he passes. So obviously, it was. But the other thing was, and it's really, when you look back at things, it's like, so he wasn't feeling good. So we were my wife and I were just kind of like waiting on him hand and foot. And, and we knew, he was trying to do this. And one of the things that if you WebMD that, one of the things of cold turkey is that you have an increased rate of having, or increased risk of having a seizure. And he is prescribed clozapam, which is a fucking bogus benzo. Because I'm a Xanax. I mean, I've been prescribed Xanax for 27 years.
It's an anti-anxiety?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's definitely my kid, man. He was, I'll say it present tense. He is fucking strung tight. Wherever he is, he's strung tight.
Driving someone crazy.
No, never
Scott?
never
No?
never drive you crazy. I mean, just as gentle. You guys have been around him
Yeah, no,
enough.
of course.
He's the sweetest, kindest, gentlest human being on earth. But it's like he is like I am. It's internal. It's it's here. You can't shut this motherfucker off. So, and T was the same way. No matter what time of the day or night, man, like if it was 4:00 in the morning and I was just like, oh, maybe I'll watch another movie before Morning Joe starts, and are up too early. And the next thing you know, I'd hear somebody, and my son was like a ninja. T was like a ninja. I'd hear like one or two little noises, and I'd be like, somebody up? But I have surround sound in the TV room, so sometimes it's like a walk, like somebody walking around. Then all of a sudden you hear the ice machine. T? Yeah, Dad. What are you doing? Get something to drink. Mom, get anything to eat? I don't know. Hear him open the thing. No. Boom. Back upstairs. So, and it's, and he's also because he's a musician, it was not unheard of for him to be strumming a song at 4 a.m. And then in upstairs, like, 30 feet from the master. So
Acoustic, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or my wife and I are watching a movie, and like we're into it. We're sitting there, and he just walks down and kicks back the bench on the piano and just starts banging out. So, like, and you just like, it's T, man. So you just reach over. Either my wife does or I do, and we just hit pause, and he works through it, and he writes a couple of notes down and goes over, maybe hits the guitar, a couple of things, back upstairs.
And he's off.
Yeah,
right?
he's off doing his thing. So, yeah. So, no, as I said, it was Scott's birthday, the day after he passed. And it was, it is so funny because that if they're like anything that's going on, I've had some bizarre incidents in my life where it's just like it's not cut and dry. It's not science. It's not this. It's not that.
Mm.
And when my wife and I were standing over my son, and he took his last heartbeat. We were just, number one, he was beautiful. I mean, it was just, he looked so gorgeous. I actually thought for a minute, I said, is my son a vampire? Like, is he glamming me? It was just like, he was just like, I just looked at him. I was just like, and what had happened was, like, when they checked his electrical currency to his head, to his brain, they had put this like crazy, looked like something from Star Trek on his head to check his electric
activity.
to make sure that he wasn't brain dead. And even though it was very rudimentary, but they just wanted to make sure he had some electrical activity. So there was a young guy that did it, and he couldn't read the machine, of course. So you get no information. But what he did do was he put this gel all throughout my son's hair, for a conduit.
Yeah.
Which made for incredible styling. When you went over and my wife would always, we'd always do the same thing. We'd, like, on the one, like, from one's, if you walked up to T, and if you went on the right side, like because of the recess, like, if anybody's Max is that's here with me today. He's went through he has went through every step of this, and so we've been able to just sit for the last 3 days and just like kind of, you know, I wouldn't call it tennis, maybe pickleball, you know, our graphic, horrific, we'll never get this out of our head moments between his father and my son. And we were just both saying that when you walk into that ICU room and somebody's being resuscitated and it's to the point where they're breathing like this, there's like a jerk in every time that they breathe. And Max was saying to when we were talking about today, he was saying like, and then he said, for the first 10 to 15 times that happens, it's the most, it's the most horrific, jarring, and then within a half hour, it's normal. It becomes complete normalcy. So as time went on and things started to go, before I don't want to jump too far forward here because God forbid if I'm such a liar on everything else. I'm sure I'm making this up too. If you went on T's left or right, it wasn't he still looked great, but it was more kind of a push down here with the whole breathing apparatus. From the other side, man, by the time 30 minutes came after they checked him for brain waves, I had his hair. He looked just like fucking Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry. I had that thing. I had that Callahan, look going, and we were. My wife and I were just, we're taking turns. We go up together, and and as time went on, about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning, the doctor just wanted to talk to us, and I said, not in front of my kid. If you're going to tell me something shitty, I don't want him to hear it. And they said he was in a coma, but we whispered to him several times, and his heart rate went up. So I'm like, no, he knows what's going on.
The hearing's the last thing to go.
Yeah, exactly. So we went in the other room, and he just we sat on. They had one of those codes where you had to punch the numbers to get into the room, and lo and behold, there were classified information that the Trump had stolen. No. So they
even today.
Hey man, if I don't laugh, I'm gonna blow my brains out. So the doctor actually, and nobody takes their mask off in a hospital. They just don't do it with especially with COVID starting to get a little peak, and it's just not proper. But he was. I'm sure, he was probably 12 feet away from us. He sat in a chair, and we sat 2 chairs, and he just looked down at my wife and I, and he just said, your son's not going to make it. And I was like, and I said, I'm not going to pull his breathing tube out. I said, I won't do that. I said, that's not an option. I said, so what are we talking? I said, you're saying that when he had the cardiac arrest, that he did damage to his heart, so that's why we can't get his bottom number up. That means the bottom ventricle had been damaged to some degree because he didn't have the ability to push blood. His top number was much higher, and even though they medically brought the top number down, he was like 111 over 55. They just couldn't get that bottom blood pressure. Like if they could have got that to 70, I'm sure that would have been But by the time it was like he stopped putting out urine, and it was one of those things that were just like there's so many things mounting. He had some kind of ulceration, whether it been in his esophagus. Like I have really bad GERD, which is like acid reflux that basically happens when you sleep, and I'm on medication for it. And he always would. I mean, he was always eating Tums, and on top of all that, you couldn't give Tristen hot enough or spicy enough food. I mean, there was always something in our refrigerator that was nobody else on earth could eat but him. Some kind of pepper, or something. And
in addition to the alcohol that you were mentioning before, though, and you did talk about him being a generally nervous guy, which could have been contributing to an ulceration of the stomach from his nerves, right?
Yeah, he wasn't nervous as much as he was just high strung. Mm-hmm. And like the amount of hate that I have received through any form fashionable, somebody that just tries to slide something on Instagram underneath something about my son, it's like people that have gotten, have my phone number, but it doesn't, like I've said a million times, if you don't have my phone number, you haven't tried. And people just absolutely like the most racist, I'm an in lover, I'm this, I'm that, Black Lives Matter, but your kids don't. Hey, all this, and I'm getting this on the telephone. Shit in your kid's casket. I'm thinking, what kind of like I'm sorry, you guys can have all the civil unrest. Like, this country is so fucked. I mean, I get it. I get it, man. You want to take it out on me. You want to think that, but I now look at it and I say to myself, this is what my son probably had to put, and he wasn't going to come to me. This is something that he probably had to block and something that he had to do. And he's not 63 years old. He's a 26-year-old young man, and it's just like, he shouldn't have to, to pay for the sins of the father. He's his own human being. He didn't do anything to anybody. If there's somebody out there that he did wrong, please step forward. And I will be able to say you're a liar, because all I've heard for the last 3 days is what an unbelievably sweet, kind human being he was. So, if you're out there fucking, you won't, I promise you, you won't upset me. You won't upset me. My son's, I wondered why my son wasn't here anymore. And the amount of hatred that was passed to me after he passed, he's the smartest dude in the world. He knew, man. He knew. I'm getting out of here. This is a shithole. This place is an absolute shithole. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. I'm gonna go someplace else. I'm gonna hang someplace else.
As terrible and unfortunate as those phone calls are, and I guess a commentary on how people feel they have permission to do these things today. I saw a lot about T from listeners of this show who knew he worked on it, and well, we always talked about it, but who had a sense of him. They said things, having never met him, and just admitting that the only things they knew of Tristen were from here when we had him come on air a little bit and talked a little bit that we did. We were easing him in,
right?
And but the things they said, the words they used, the adjectives they used were dead on. I mean, he came through the screen. It may sound dramatic, but if you guys go and follow the feed on the Kliq This Twitter page, you'll see what people said about Tristen, and they were dead on.
Yeah, he was a special kid.
Yeah.
Not because he was mine. Despite him being mine.
Mm-hmm. So, if you don't mind, I wanted to ask you about Tristen. So those are the events of the last couple of days from a timeline standpoint.
You think we should drop the Bluechew now, or?
Yeah, jump to a quick Bluechew ad.
Come on. I dare you.
You dare me to be emphatic. Listen, I could do almost anything, but so for Tristen,
what do we have? What do we got? DraftKings? What do we got?
We got some friends that are going to be popping up throughout the show, but
okay.
But as Tristen always enjoyed me reminding people, you don't want confidence to fail you.
We're gonna do it
in the bedroom.
Okay.
Many times I heard him off camera kind of throwing an amen every once in a while. The off camera, the off mic voice of Tristen. No, you will get your ads recorded today, ladies and gentlemen. We were having some fun with this before we went on the air, and Kev was like, "DraftKings is a great ad to read today. That's fine." And I was like, "Well, yeah, but my segue into Bluechew."
Yeah. But I mean, but it's I left with LSU and Ole Miss tied at 7-7. So
well, you can check your phone for that. I think.
No, I didn't put any action on it. I'm gonna bet pro this week.
Tomorrow, okay. We'll compare our bets. All right, NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, so tip off the season with DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 NBA money line bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Check this out. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. So go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place a stepped-up same-game parlay today. With payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is where I go to bet. Now, you could do NBA, you could do MMA, I do NFL, okay? And listen, in addition to all these great offers that I'm telling you about that you're going to get access to with the code I'm going to give you, you get great promos every week. There's a promo button on my app, and I get great increased percentage wins on my wins. They step up the odds for me on parlays. I get all kinds of cool offers every week, new customer or not. I'm not a new customer. When I enjoyed that $200 in free bets, though, and I turned that into a few $100. So listen, here's what you're going to do. You're going to do what I did. You're going to go right to the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. You're going to use promo code TKNP, the Kevin Nash Podcast. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code TKNP. So go do it. Let us know how you did. Share it on the socials. We want to know what DraftKings is doing for you. Thank you, DraftKings. I wanted to ask you, though, just this, as I said in the opening of the show, the burying of a child, or the passing of a child, let's just say, is the most unnatural, one of the handful of unnatural things that we're not supposed to experience by design. Our life expectancy was about 30 a couple of thousand years ago, and your kids were 14, 15 when you were checking out. They were getting married. They were having kids. And as we grew, as science keeps us alive now till 75 or whatever they tell us, one of the unfortunate byproducts of such a long life is the loss of a child. And something obviously you never considered in life. How can you? It's just such an unnatural thing.
No, it's
Is this a point? Is counseling valid now? Where does one go? There's the disbelief, I would imagine. There's got to be anger.
No, see, this is like my wife and I will sit, and I don't know, because I've had so much death in my life. Like I don't know if that's the case. Maybe, I mean, I know that when you start at 8 years old with your dad and you just kind of work your way through life, and during that era where 45 of the boys died, and and then finally it's one, Triple H gets real close to passing, a guy that never took a drink, and then Scott passing. It just,
disbelief didn't happen for you, is I think what you're getting at, right?
It's really hard to disbelieve that your son's passed when you watch his last heartbeat. I mean,
you still feel him in the house?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when I, as I usually do, get distracted, when my wife and I were standing over him, and he had taken his last breath, pulse, heartbeat, whatever you want to call it, before they came over, and the two nurses have to check for a heartbeat, and they have to, I concur, and then they that's the time of death, and so we were holding hands, and we looked at. Hold on a second. We were holding hands, and we looked at each other, and I said, "What are you thinking?" And she said, "I'm at peace." I said, "Me too."
Wow.
I said, "Me too." So, let me give it just me one. I said,
yeah, just because of how tumultuous it was over those past that day.
Yeah, but it was, and even now, my wife, when she gets in a funk, she just kind of like basically says, "T, get me out of the funk," and she's fine. So,
wow,
he's a magic man.
Your Nancy Wilson was always one of my favorites.
Yeah, thanks.
So to other parents, well, let me frame the question this way. You guys made a decision to quit drinking on Wednesday. Had alcohol been a discussion, a fairly regular discussion, and for how long? T was 26. Now let's go backwards.
I think that T is at alcohol has been, and Max grew up with him. T and Max were, how old were you guys? 6? 5. You guys, so yeah. So the boys were 5 when, like, I met Max's dad first, and then we all went on a Disney cruise. And
sorry to hear that.
Oh, it was, fuck, the kids
Okay.
loved him, man.
Okay.
And it was St. Thomas, Cayman, and I think maybe St. Martin or something like that. And then, like, once we did that, we came back. God, I'm burping like a fucking, sorry. Like
Pop one of your Nexium there. Is that what you take, by the way, for the GERD? Because I have terrible acid reflux too. So I've been on Nexium for 20 years, which they tell me is giving me cancer.
It's it's some sort of.
Oh, Panapla, whatever. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like 40 milli. It's like, it's what they give you when you are actually bleeding out in a bag. I just have it in pill form.
You just asked for the heavy duty gimmick.
One of the many things keeping my metabolic syndrome genetics at bay.
Well, you told me there were no 60-year-old Nashes or no 15-year-old Great Danes. So what
There is now.
You're laughing. Yeah,
There
exactly.
is
You're
now.
laughing at the universe.
There is now. No, but at the same time, we took a picture last year. We were all up in Michigan, and all the Nash, like my sons, my brother and his son, and me and my son stood there, and we all did this, and we took the picture, all four of us. And I told, it's just like, and I actually looked at it last night. I looked at that picture, and it was just like fuck, man, because now, T is at 26. He beats my dad by 10 years. So that when I start doing those kind of math problems, and I realized that when my son was born on June 12th, 1996, and I had to go to Japan shortly after that for something NWO related, and maybe it was not. I just remember that I was looking at him and realizing that I was going to be, July 9th, I was going to turn 36. So I was going to be my dad's age when he was basically born.
He was born, wow.
Yeah. So and I just really, just resonated like, wow, man, my dad died so early because I was a kid. I was still a kid, man. And it's like, now he passes 10 years before that. And I just like, it's, that's what I said, man. I must have been a rotten motherfucker to have as much bad shit happen to me as I do. I might have money, but I tell you what, man, I was
talking to my daughter today, and I used the term, and I do it often, the 50-50 in life. Our vessel is touching two banks of the river at all times. The things we tend to focus on, the good stuff, but we are also touching the other side also. And there are things that we don't pay much attention to, but are not good. And so to expect in life to have an imbalance of so much of one and not the other is probably unrealistic. We have, part of life is that other bank that we don't pay attention to, and it's overgrown sometimes with tragedy and things we don't want to pay attention to. And I went to my phone after the news, and I had the last text I had from him, and I don't know if I can get it on the camera there. And it was "Love you, man," and it that knocked me down for a little while too. He was just a gentle and really emotionally mature soul. I wasn't at 26. I wasn't as emotionally mature as Tristen was.
I wasn't. I'm not at 63, so
yeah,
I mean,
it's true. You're way fucking behind.
Fuck.
But so I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to parents that may see alcohol, the frequency of. I don't know as a parent, Kevin, honestly, if my daughter came home from a party in high school or college when she goes next year, and I know she got a little loaded, like, what would the line for me be? Where do I become concerned? How does one know what's a problem and what is, let's face it, the normal trajectory of growing up as a young man or woman?
Okay, so to add, I mean, I've been sitting here talking about my son, but now I need to add this because this is something that people that have met him and spent time with him, and then you tell them this, and they're like, "What? My son was autistic." My son was Asperger's. My son was very, very high educated, very, very high IQ. But my son was autistic on top of all those things. So, like, he got the, like, was sick. Like, we say, he was nervous or he was this. No. He sat me down one time at a diner, and we're sitting there and we're waiting on our food. And he looked at me, he goes, Dad, he goes, I got to bail. I'm like, what's wrong? And he goes, I can't take it. And I said, what? And there was these two older, maybe 65-year-old women. They were cackling, like two booths down, I said, that? And he goes, that? And he pointed. There was a guy with the mop gimmick. The mop where you squeeze it and it's plastic. And and he's banging that around. And then above us is a ceiling fan going, shuck, 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 shuck. Now that he's pointed them out, I absorb it and I'm like, okay. It's, for him, it's been for 7 minutes. Like, it's time for him to bail. He's got to go. And once he pointed that out to me, anytime, I always tried to read his eyes. Anytime it was like, I'd be like, because like people that were aggressive, like he was always like, whoa, what are you so like he used to get so pissed at me. I'd be screaming at somebody on the phone. I'd get done and he would just look at me and shake his head. He does it get done faster if you scream? I'd be like, I don't know. I've never not screamed. I don't know. I try not to scream. It's just like my F-bombs. I try. I mean, maybe I should try harder, but I don't know. But it's just, my wife and I learned so much from him. Because he was always exploring and investigating, and when people would say something, I'd hear somebody say, Colorado River is going to be like, my son told me that 8 years ago. Like all the water problems that are happening right now. My son pointed that out, in vivid detail 8 years ago. So just like, that's another thing, man. Like, imagine when there's no water to drink. You want to be on this. You want to be on this ball of dirt. Obviously, he didn't.
The sensitivity to noise, with him being a musician, seems like counterintuitive. But if you think about it, maybe he could hear things, the subtleties in music, right?
Oh, yeah,
we couldn't hear.
He would, so many times he would listen to somebody's music, and he would like right there. I mean, I don't, like what? Like right there. He's playing it as a half chord right there. I'd be like, dude, man,
right.
but and him and Isaac, his friend Isaac, Isaac came by to the house last night. They've been playing music together since 6th grade, and it was sick. Max was always, when Max would come down. Max lives by Pittsburgh, and he actually lived. He grew up in like Transfer Hermitage area, which is north of Pittsburgh, probably 60 miles. But I mean, just for to pinpoint so people don't have to. He basically lived in the Pittsburgh area, but north of very, and but they his father Vince was an auctioneer. He did horticulture auctioneering, where he would take like a gigantic South New Jersey nursery and auction everything they had, from the tractors to every tree plant. I mean, he would auction, and then have like an auctioneer's. I mean, and do that to everybody. And he was a badass at it too, And he went with the times, and as the business progressed, and Vince took it online. And but we were just Vince had the capability, like I did, to always, he could work from anywhere, and he could also come down here where his grandparents had a house a mile from our home, and the boys could spend 3-4 weeks of the summer together. Maybe we go down to the Keys for a week or someplace else, and then every 4th of July he had to Vince had a giant party up in Hermitage, and we would go up there for the 4th of July, and that was like a 4 or 5 day it was a hard run. And but we were talking last night, and Max said that it was so weird to see Isaac and to talk to Isaac and not have Tristen like plop down and just and for him to be there. And then last night we went up to T's room, and I was asking the guys, and my wife Tamara was there, and basically it's like, what do you got? You guys want? Like, Max came with his mom on, like, I mean, just as soon as Tristen passed, my wife called Tammy, and it was Max's mother, and it was just like, we'll be there. Like, she was on, like, they were here. My son passed at 6:10, 6:34 actual. By the time we got to the telephone to talk to people, they were in our living room at 2:30. So,
yeah.
And then my sister-in-law was there shortly after. So it was like,
I had people reach out. I mean, I'm sure everyone got to, but I think there are people that don't know if you're still in touch with them or what. So they reached out to me, like Russo. I don't know if Russo got to you, but
yeah, I talked to Vince and I talked on Twitter direct message.
Okay.
Yeah, he was very, very kind.
Joey Styles also.
I didn't. And that's the whole thing. I apologize if I haven't got back to you, but it's when you pick up your phone and like, we just wanted a simple statement, just so we could get a breath, but at the same time, I didn't want a simple statement to take the place of this. And I knew I knew because this was so important to T and I, that I was going to, no matter what, I was going to come back here. I didn't know when. But when you open your phone and there's 234 text messages,
mm-hmm.
and it's just like, where do you start? And a lot of them are just like people that, like, I've lost their numbers. Like, it's like just for instance, Terry Rhino. Like, he reached out, and thank God Terry put at the bottom, this is Terry/Rhino.
Right.
Because there's so many people that are reaching out to me, and it's just like, I lose my phone. I lose shit all the time. It's like, I don't have a way to get back to you. And it's like, all I can do is basically just go down, and because they're just giving me well wishes. And it's absolutely unbelievable.
I think that was the case with some of them. They just didn't know if you'd know who it was.
Yeah.
Like Pat Buck reached out, and I guess they've been following the show over there. And he said, if the company could do anything for you, AEW, of course. And I went ahead and told them they could get Tony a good booker on your behalf, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
No, man, that's thank you. I got a message, and it was, Connecticut number. And it just said, it wasn't in my phone. I was like, I said, that's probably from somebody from the office. And I started to read it, and it was Vince. I said, this is my new number. If you need me, I'm here. It's like,
wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't fucking pile on.
This stuff, yeah.
Because I know.
Is there anyone you were surprised that you heard from? Maybe someone that.
This is one that's just. I've got to call. It's the last thing you want to do is you want to make actual, as I call it, docking. Like, text messages are great. You can just like, thank you. But to actual, so during this process, like one of the people I reached out to when Ric Flair sent me a message and was telling me, he loved me and, anything I could do. And the thing is when you're one of the boys, it's not just, they're not just, it's not lip service. It's just like, if you needed something and if I called Hulk, he'd be here in 2.5 hours. Whatever it take Rick to get here, if I needed those guys, and it's just like, but Rick reached out to me, and I said, can you talk? And he said, sure. So I went out by the pool and I just said, how did you do it?
Yeah,
with Reed, like how did you, and we went over and that's what makes this shit work. Not some therapist that is going to look at me and not be able to look past my tattooed arm or the fact that I was a mediocre wrestler. And,
you've elevated yourself to mediocre. Congratulations. Very good.
Yeah.
So Flair,
Rick
Flair was able to
give me some information.
Yeah. And there are no answers, right? I mean, it's as individual as the.
Gotta plug my friends at G Code.
Okay.
I'm drinking the what am I drinking today? The lime. I'm drinking the lime today, so it's that's right. It's very good. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just wanting to know because grief is as individual as everyone handles it differently. First of all, and everyone's circumstance is different. So your discussions with Rick were helpful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then on top, so I asked dialed Jerry Lawler. So Jerry's calling me, and I'm like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, Jerry lost his son. Jerry's reaching out to me, but I just, at the 2 times he called me, I wasn't in a good place. And I just couldn't dock in with him. So this morning I get up and I check my voice messages, which I never do. And I've got, again, the haters, the people that I that somehow got my number that are going to, so I've got to differentiate if it's friend or foe is the first game, And I hear Jerry say, hey man, you called me. And I'm like, oh man, I dialed Jerry And I'm thinking Jerry's trying to give me some love, which he would. I mean, because he's one of the boys. But I'm just thinking like no, man. So I gotta. If I forget Jerry, and please, if somebody sees this and sees Jerry, know that I I need to talk to you because I asked out you. So.
Well, it might have been a greater force that made that ass style happen. Maybe you do need to
I don't
talk
know.
to Jerry.
Or maybe, but maybe I like. I think Rick. I think Rick, and Rick's like Rick gave me some really good advice, and it's just like,
it would behoove you to look into the iPhone because of the transcription option. So you can actually, when you hit the voicemail, it shows you in text form first, so you can delete any of the foes before you have to listen. So
I don't know though. I think
another advertisement for my Apple.
Yeah. Well, I think you pretty much know where you can put that Apple.
On my desk.
Exactly. Perfect place. It rests perfectly there.
We should tell the people listening and watching a little what we were talking to the crew about. Though you and I had some foreplay over the last 4 years about a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
There's really one person who made this podcast happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people come together to make it happen, but
yeah, to
actually make Kevin and I take it seriously and buckle down.
So my son is like, if you go on the YouTube in the TV room on the smart television, you'll get my son's plethora of podcasts that he watches. And he would always say, Dad, you should watch this, Dad, watch this. So I finally sat down and I watched Tom Segura with him. And actually the one that I saw, I think was Jesselneck was the host, was the guest on Segura. Anthony Jesselneck was the guest, and it was good. And then it was like, and I watched some Chris D'Elia. He's a little bit, he's different, but kind of similar. Like, I think we have a similar sense of humor. And then of course, we would watch Rogan and we would watch different people, and he would always say, Dad, this is something that I think you could do. That you have comedic timing, and you know a little bit about enough enough about enough things to piss people off. So whenever and I have determined that you and I we never need to. And I'm talking with Sean and I. We never need to talk about anything about how oil gets to our country, because we have no idea on supply.
Mm.
And
the information is not available out there anyway. It's all very hidden from us, so we can't read about it or anything.
Yeah. So it's such a mystery. But anyway, so we watched, and I said, you know what? I said, yeah. I said, I'd do it, but I'd have to. I said, the only person I could think of that I could do this with would be Sean. She said, well, call Sean. So I called Sean, and we talked first, and then they sent us like Sean and I talked. You can take it from there.
Well, then we had to, once we decided we were going to do it, we had to shop it around. We had to find people willing to accept this pitch. It's going to be whatever we want to talk about. So what's the angle of it? Whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah, it's a show. It's a show about nothing.
Go watch old videos. You'll know what I'm talking about. Go watch us together on old videos. You'll understand. And very quickly. I mean, I didn't have to even explain it. Conrad got it right away and was like, done, and so I said to Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah. And I said, yeah. And then, of course, I have the technical ability of Fred Flintstone, if it was Flintstone times. And I needed, so if my son didn't partake in it, and I said, would you help? And he said, yeah, man. And it gave us, immediately it gave us just something for us that was just ours. Just, it was just me and Tease. And he was always, every Wednesday, he was always excited. And, it was like, we'd get in the car, I'd back it out, and he'd hop in, and he'd have his laptop, and we'd shoot, mile and a half down the road to the condo. Yeah. Pull in, come upstairs, and look at Czechoslovakia, do our thing. And that just, to me, was the thing that I'm going to miss the most. Not the most, but just to hear his laughter.
Yeah, at one point I said to him, I said, don't hold your breath in the studio. Laugh. I liked the off, and some people mentioned it on either Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah,
I saw people talking about.
Yeah, it was so contagious.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. I said, don't be restrained. And Tristen too, for people don't know, we would talk to him, but in between shows. So we would talk to him, consult him for the music episode. My God, I had to go to him for so much shit when we were doing the frontman stuff, for the contemporary stuff, and he would just pop up with that ideas too. He would, God, you have to know his sense of humor. It's
okay. I'm going to give you. My son absolutely loved Norm Macdonald.
Uh-huh.
So this was a joke that my son told me. And he did it in his Norm Macdonald voice. I don't do a great Norm Macdonald, so I'll try to do the best I can. But he says, my wife was in a coma, and so she's in the hospital in a coma, and the doctor says to me, there's one thing that might work if you were to perform oral sex on your wife. It has had the ability to resuscitate and bring them back. So I went in there and came out 5 minutes later and looked at the doctor, and I said, I don't know, Doc, seems to me like she's just gagging a lot. So, that's my son.
So listen, if ever you find yourself in that position, if your significant other is in a coma, you are going to want the confidence of Bluechew.
Oh.
You are going to need to get over that hump. Guys, we know confidence can take you far in life, and that is especially true in the bedroom when it comes time to step up to the plate, or in the iron lung, wherever your partner may be. And Bluechew is the answer, folks. Bluechew is a unique online service that delivers the same ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. So if you're taking the Norm Macdonald deal, chew one in the car in the hospital parking lot, then you head right in. You could take them anytime, day or night. You can plan ahead, be ready whenever the opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, guys. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Best part, done online. No awkward doctor visits, pharmacy visits, all done online. The package comes discreetly packaged and shipped directly to your door. There's nothing sexier than confidence, and Bluechew Chew can help give you that confidence when it counts. You don't have to have an issue to want to increase the surety and strength of your performance. So if you can benefit from that extra confidence when it comes time to perform, chew it and do it, baby. Have better sex. And we have a special deal for our listeners. Try Bluechew free when you use the promo code NASH at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code NASH to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. The podcast which Tristen would often, he'd send me music clips too every once in a while. But you know what I want to tell you? The funniest thing, I get a phone call. I see he's calling, so I answer. And I get a pitch from him. I said, hey, what's up, Tristen? He goes, all right. Aquaman, the realistic version. Think about that for 5 minutes. It took me 30 seconds, and I went, real. Oh, right.
Exactly.
Oh my God, so fucking funny. That was Tristan. That was the sense of humor. Random phone call, 2:00 in the afternoon. Okay,
Max has a phone full of. So Max told me a story yesterday about when Tristen had pissed in the sink of his grandmother and grandfather's house, and like Max got like really, because they were it's just like Max got pissed about it. And the fact that like Tristen just so nonchalantly said, yeah, I pissed in her fucking sink, And so Max shows me the years later, like Max sends this really nice porcelain whole sink. I don't know. It was probably something you could buy. Look like a farm sink with a porcelain. What was the caption? Yeah, it was a sink, but it had a little piss ports that you could like walk the dog down and take a piss. And what was the? Do you remember what the? Yeah, I think T's response is when he got it was yeah, I could use that. I need that. So, yeah, I I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do without him, but
well, you each gave each other a lot for 26, and it's to have had the relationship not without its bumps, but to have had the depth of the relationship that you had. Some never achieve.
I saw I saw, I said, I don't want to go into social media. I definitely don't want to go on like the internet or, TMZ or any of this, but it's like as soon as they can, they're going to put, it's just like, Tristen Nash died at 26 years old today. And now pictures of them both in their fucking jumpsuits.
I didn't see any of it, honestly.
I saw some.
Did you really?
Yeah.
The sources that I saw, the news sources, were clean, and I was looking for it because I would have been pretty.
And my
pissed,
whole thing is all these. I'm not even going to. They don't even deserve an F-bomb. So I'm just going to say, all these scumbags that take one incident between me and my son and make that be the defining moment because I don't know, maybe their father wasn't, there at all. So for their dad to actually, engage with them to that degree because he was concerned. But anybody that'll ever look at those pictures will look at my son, and he's got kind of a smirk on his face in his mugshot, Are you going to tell me that if I would have mounted sober a drunk kid, he wouldn't have a cut on him? Because I choke slammed him. I knocked him unconscious. I held him on top of the fucking counter. He was as strong as a fucking bull. I figured something that I had screwed in somewhere was going to blow. And I told my wife, call the cops. I can't hold this fucking kid.
Yeah.
That's what happened. They came. It was Christmas Eve. Who works Christmas Eve? Oh, the guy with 27 years experience. No, the guy with 27 minutes experience is working Christmas Eve. He comes in the house, sees Kevin Nash, and figures, fuck it, I'm going to take somebody. At least I'm going to take the guy I know. So, yeah, so that we have that, that one night, and then the next day they came with all the trucks, with all their bullshit, and with those scopes over the fence, and they, and the first thing I said was, you both want to grab an AR-15 and walk on the roof? And he looked at me and goes, yeah. And I said, no, man, that we'll probably have SWAT out here. I said, let's just walk up on there. I said, we both got like coffee mugs, just set up on the roof and put our feet up on the railing. I looked out at the ocean and just drank out of these coffee mugs. And it was just like everybody was set up around my house, and it was like you could just see them go like this, folding their shit up like, wow, they gave us nothing.
No story. Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. You think we're Nashes? We number one, we don't sell. Number two, we're cool. We went out different cars, so we to get out of the jail. I got before him. And we're going home, and I'm talking to him on the cell phone. I'm like, how about that fucking breakfast we had, huh? He goes, was that chili and separate black beans and lima beans all in with a half a hamburger bun? I said, yeah. He goes, what was it? I said, jail.
Yeah, jail.
That's jail, man. That. That's jail, dude. Like, no, you don't want to go there. Let's not drink Jack Daniels again and come home and let's not repeat this. Let's make this a one-time run.
And it was, and I was hopeful that one night did not usurp 26 years of nights, and I didn't see it. You did. I'm sorry that I was out there, but almost all the sources I saw, people, E-Online, all celebrated him and mentioned his music. One mentioned the band, and did their diligence a little bit to find out a little bit about T. When they ran.
There's some great covers he did when he was young on YouTube, like Fake Plastic Trees and a Space Oddity he did when he had like long dreads that he did down in the Keys, down in Key West. There's some, then there's other. His album was The Builders. It was a boxcar and a bottle of boxcar and a jug of wine was his that he did with his band. Which is
people hopefully will search it out and
check
it out a little.
And this is one of those things. Like I wanted to do this today because I thought that I hoped that I could, because this meant so much to both of us, that I could continue, because there was nothing best of this week. So we didn't have anything to put in best of because there was no best of this week. This week sucked dick. So, but I was hoping that we were able to do something today, and I was able to keep some kind of composure. And this is not me. This is not me doing this. I mean, I have wanted to break down.
There's no right way to do it, Kevin.
No, I've wanted to break down this whole show. he won't let me.
Right.
He's like, Dad, this is what we're gonna do.
And you know what? He's happy you're here. He's
Yeah.
happy. I think he would have wanted you to come out, talk about him and yourself. And
I don't give a fuck about me. I do him.
well, through you, we have stuff to learn. We may be dealt a similar hand.
And my whole thing is, you were talking earlier about the alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
and number one, this our society makes alcohol very sexy. James Bond, shaken not stirred. Women drink, champagne. And everything is so sexy. Drink champagne, and all you do is have the world's, worst headache the next day. It's a nasty. Number one, this is the country we live in. Fentanyl is in a category completely by itself, opposite cannabis, which is with heroin and cocaine. How in 2022, how is cannabis still classified what it is?
I don't know. And when people oppose its legalization, these are the same people that have no issue with you going down to the corner, hammering a fifth of Jack, and
killing their two soccer age kids in the back seat of some shitty Dodge Caravan. I have no problem. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Alcohol is the nastiest. It's such a nasty drug. I mean, it's just and it's a drug. So anybody out there, if you haven't drank, you've probably done yourself an incredible service. And if you do drink and you're having problems, and it's affecting your life and it's affecting your health, you can't see the damage it's doing. Especially like nobody goes to the doctor, nobody gets checked up, nobody does anything, nobody gets blood work, and that silent killer, alcohol, is eating your organs, weakening your heart, weakening your constitution. And I have spent half my life glamorizing the rock and roll, hard charging, hard drinking, drug partying, wrestling world that I grew up in and lived in. And I really need to take a step back from that and go, you're part of the problem, Nash. You glamorize a lifestyle that kills people, and you got to stop doing that. So you guys, Sean, you got to keep me in check on this show.
Yeah.
Now.
All right, guys. Sleep is so important, as you know. There is nothing worse than an awful night's sleep. You really just pay the price the next day. It is impossible to concentrate. You're exhausted. It's frustrating at night trying to fall asleep. Then you're wrestling with pillows and comforter and just flipping all over, and you get more frustrated. Then that anxiety starts to set in, forcing yourself to sleep. Guys, the answer lies in body temperature, okay? Science tells us the best way to achieve and maintain consistent deep sleep is by lowering core body temperature, okay? Temperature-controlled sleep repairs muscle. After a hard day's work, it improves cognitive function, so you can always start your day feeling sharp and alert. I've woken up all over the place. I'm a notoriously terrible sleeper. The answer is in the temperature that my body is when I'm trying to sleep. Sleep Me, the new home for ChilliSleep, is the answer, guys. They're bringing you the same great sleep that ChilliSleep offer, just under a new name, Sleep Me. Sleep Me makes the coldest and most comfortable sleep systems available. They create the environment that meets the body's natural need for a lower core temperature, promoting deeper and restorative sleep. ChilliSleep makes the Lawler, the Cube, the Doc Pro sleep systems, water-based temperature-controlled mattress toppers that fit right over your existing mattress and provide your ideal sleep temperature. They've got an app. You can adjust it in the middle of the night. Hey, you're too cold, you put it up a little bit. If you're not cold enough, drop it. The temperatures on my app, on my particular model, my Lawler, run from 60 to like 115 degrees. Okay, my wife's always cold. She likes her side warmer, but I bring it all the way down. I need it cool. These mattress pads keep your bed the perfect temperature for deep, cold sleep. These sleep systems are designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and give you the confidence and energy to power through your day. They also just launched the new Doc Pro sleep system, 2 times more cold power than the other models, whisper quiet, and a tubeless mattress pad that allows for 5 times more cooling contact. Pair it with the new Sleep.me app, like I just told you. Head over to sleep.me/Kevin, because Kevin, like always, you're taking care of your listeners. Learn more, save 25% off the purchase of any new Doc Pro, Cube, or Lawler sleep system if you type sleep.me/Kevin. The offer is available exclusively for Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast listeners, and only for a limited time. That's sleep.me, sleep.me/Kevin to take advantage of exclusive discounts and wake up refreshed every day. Well, lessons for all. And yeah, I mean, you're certainly not the only one. I've talked to hundreds of them over the years. That also everyone has a little fun with those. Well, I think those stories.
It's hard. It's not like it's an exaggeration. That's the real problem of it. You know, it's not like the lifestyle was exaggerated. It's like it's actually probably toned down a little bit because, you know, for the innocence of our families.
Right. But yeah, no, what you say is true, and there was a time. People also have to understand that things were a little different. Times were a little different, and alcohol, though no less dangerous if behind the wheel or if consumed in copious amounts daily. You didn't have at one time, you know, we're talking 70s early, you didn't have the painkiller availability that came in the 90s and the thousands and all that stuff. So it got compounded very quickly. And this is no newsflash to anybody who's seen the amount of wrestler overdoses and whatnot in recent years, far outweighing any of the guys that worked in the 70s or prior. So yeah, but you're right, and it in the shoot world it kind of became like a punchline, right? The 33 Soma story, for example, yeah. or something like that. It becomes an anecdote, but because everybody was okay. Right, because everybody lived to tell about it. Those that lived told about it. Right.
Not everybody lived to tell about it, because that was not the case.
Right.
It's a miracle, as I'm actually not looking at you and now looking at myself in this. I'm looking right in my own eyes right now. And where am I? There I am. And I'm amazed that I'm sitting here alive, because we've all said this, we shouldn't be.
Your guys, your boys.
Am I slowly turning into Jeff Bridges?
You're gonna have to work on an impression for that, and we'll get. Well,
you know,
better Jeff than Bo. Better Jeff than Bo, I think.
He started, you know, lately he kind of has this thing going here. You know, COVID almost took me. You know,
isn't it amazing how Michael Douglas has turned into Kirk Douglas?
Yeah,
have you seen him recently?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, before we roll out of here for this week, Kev, is there anything people can do? Is there somewhere to donate? Is there something for someone for whom you've become important? And
I think that the number one thing, because I know that T has an autism license.
Diagnosis.
But his license plate is you know how down in Florida you can get anything, you know. Like I saw a priest the other day and said I'm a pedophile. Weird. But you know, he's the autism thing. I think that we you know, Matt Morgan and Matt reached out to me, and Matt has an autistic son, and Jax, he's just, I mean, he's a sweet little boy, and I know that like Matt is like, we talked last night, and he was we text, and it was just, but he sent me a video that like he just sent me a video because he wanted me to, I guess, to see his anguish because what, you know, Matt's the mayor of Longwood. I think he's the mayor of Longwood, and what he does, because Matt had an addiction issue, Matt on his off days goes to the regional Orlando hospitals and goes in and gives pamphlets and information about drug and alcohol and rehab and you know, to try to get them as they leave there to take the next step. And he walked in to a room in Orlando Medical Center, and you know, there was a 6'5" Charles Manson sitting in this bed, and he didn't even register that this dark-haired, curly, with a giant beard was my son.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was just like, so I'm sure he was just like, holy shit, you know, because last time he saw him, like, T had short hair and he was a TNA, and Dixie, you know, he walked around and stayed with Dixie while me and Mick had a match, and he kind of tagged around with me and Mick as we put the match together, and like everybody just like, that was the last time they saw T, and now it would have been maybe 3 or 4 years later, and you know, T had, you know, he was, you know, not that he was like crazy or anything. It's just like, you know, fuck it. Like, you know, he'd been in the hospital for 30 days.
What a coincidence, though.
But yeah, and he had been in rehab before he went in the hospital. You know, I mean, he went like from detox to rehab to hospital. So
this was the stay back in February, March.
This is January, February, March.
Right.
The rehab was the first month, and so it was just like, you know, like Matt finally reached out to me because he said I was in there. I said, "What did my son say?" He said, "You know," she just kind of went like, "Whatever." I just, yeah, you know, like I just got out of rehab, and those two, you know, they went, what a sackage, you know. Anybody and that's half the problem, man. The rehab industry is such a racket. I mean, it's just a racket, and you get into it, man. You know, Scott had like 13 months of rehab. It was just, it was just a joke.
It ain't cheap either.
No. So
is there anywhere fans can direct their attentions?
Autism awareness. I don't know. I mean, I will coordinate. I really haven't had, you know, I'm just still trying to, it's not that I don't need to process anything. I understand exactly. It's just that the process right now is dealing with the immense loss. Just in every aspect. Memories, I've got a memory bank full of. You know, I don't need anything there, but man, I really was looking forward to spending my golden years with my boy. And I'll find segments, I'll find ways to try to stay connected. But,
And we'll let everyone know once Kevin puts something together
I'll put,
for Tristan.
Just give me, give me 40 more minutes.
Give you a couple of seconds to process.
I feel like Sizemore in Saving Private Ryan. You all right? Yeah, just got the wind knocked out of me.
Yeah, feeling like Sizemore in anything, including daily life is. I did want to do something before we close, though. There are a lot of people who were supportive here on the podcast Heat and scrambled Kev to do whatever you wanted to do, whether it was take some time or come on. So if you guys just bring yourselves up for a minute, we got Steve who. I bounced him all over the place. Do a best of show. No, we're doing the show. We're doing it Friday. We're doing it Saturday. But he was great, and he cleared the decks for us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Dom was very conscientious about his posts and handling the press release on social media for you. Wesley said, "Can we get Tristen in the credits?" And he animated it, and he's also the audio editor. But from the animation standpoint, he said, "What can we do?"
Did we ever get to? We never got to the point that we're going to make this show. Now is going to open with created by Sean Oliver and Tristen and Kevin Nash.
Well, I have that. I do have that in my read in my closing credits.
Oh, you got? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I fucked up.
No.
I fucked up. I just I didn't want to close. And not, so I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
No, but that's why I wanted to talk about it, so people know exactly what his role was. It was a lot more than sitting off camera laughing, and so Wes at the last minute was able to do that, even when I threw him a curveball and said, "Put Kevin in it, put Kevin in it." But he did it, knocked it out of the park. It's great. Everybody's talented, and Conrad, who's not on here, who the last thing he cared about when I talked to him was any podcast. He said, "What can we do for Kevin?"
Thanks, Connie.
And I said I will let you know. So Sabato reached out and Kevin Green and the whole team. So everyone here and everyone
Thank you.
beyond.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kev. Thank you guys, Sean. Awesome job.
No problem. And it is time to remind everyone that Kliq This is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, produced in association with Podcast Heat, and created by Kevin Nash, Tristen Nash, and Sean Oliver. Producer Steve Kaufman. Credits by Dominic D'Angelo, title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson, theme song Dale Oliver, copyright 2022. And Kevin, I always asked you as a work every week, but I'm going to ask you for real this time. Do you want to do another? You got the green light. You got the office. You got the office.